Hello, I'm Greg Villalobos, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Adventure Spec Universal Mini Fairing. Okay, so the Universal Mini Fairing, a quick story about how it came into existence. If you've been into trail riding, adventure riding for a while, 10 years ago you may have had an enduro bike or a trail bike, and you want to go a bit longer distance and you want a bit more comfort. You see a lot of people have been adapting screens to go on the front of their bike. You see lots of people take that plastic headlight mount and they'll cut out bits of plastic, sometimes clear plastic, and they'll bolt on the front, and kind of just something that gives a bit more protection for those longer road sections. So that bike in particular was not really designed to go on road, it was designed to go on off-road. So for those longer distances, people want to kind of add some more protection. At the other kind of, that's the DIY end. At the other extreme end of it is you get full-on rally Nav Towers, which are quite often carbon fiber, and they look beautiful, they're fantastic, they've got everything that what you need, they've got power, they've got all the mounting points. And quite often they come with kits that make it all look part of the bike. They're really, really expensive. They're expensive to put on. They're also expensive if you drop it and you break it. So we also kind of figured that there were some people that just didn't really need that top end. They wanted something more than the DIY job in their garden shed, but they didn't really need that top end rally experience. So that's where the mini fairing comes in. It's a really simple device. It's designed to clamp onto your handlebars. So it comes in two parts. One part is the screen that comes in a variety of colours, and the other part is the fairing support. And you can buy those together or you can buy them separately. So the assembly is super simple. You don't need many tools. It's only going to take you about 10 minutes. So at this point, with the fairing fully assembled, it's really straightforward. You literally just clamp it onto your handlebars, tighten it up, adjust the angle, and away you go. I guess the interesting part comes when you start putting things on it. So it's designed to receive an amp-sized bracket, AMPS, which is what a lot of GPS and sat-nav devices have for their cradles. For example, the Garmin Montana units have got an amp-sized cradle, and that's what I use on my bike. You can also add power sockets. It's got holes in there for cigarette lighter sized, cigarette lighters, gosh, you remember those in cars? Anyway, cigarette lighter sized power sockets and USB devices. And I've seen people put all sorts on this in lots of different ways. So what I wanted to do is just talk you through a few examples of how people have adapted it for their own needs. So we've got a page on our website where customers have sent in pictures of how they've mounted this onto their own bikes. It's a great source of inspiration. Let's just have a quick look at what people have done. And if you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Or if you've put this on your bike and had particular success, please do take a pic and send it through, follow the instructions on the website. Okay, so first up we've got a Husqvarna, it looks like might be a 500. And this guy, nice whiteboard in the garage, where everyone needs a whiteboard. It's generally like all the servicing things you've got to do to your bike. Anyway, so this guy has got, it looks like a waterproof phone case mounted on, so I'm guessing he uses his phone for his GPS, and a USB socket, and he's also got a toggle switch for the power. That's quite handy because it means that you can cut off all the power to the devices on your bike. I'm not going to tell you how to wire that up, you're going to have to figure that out yourself. I'm not an electrician expert. By the looks of it, this guy knows what he's doing. Okay, so next up we've got, I think that's a Honda Crf250 X, I think, not an L. And that has been kitted out with a rally roadbook holder. So if you're doing something like the Rally Moto events or the Adventure Spec Challenge events, you're going to want to have a manual roadbook on there. And this Adventure Spec mini fairing mounts that really, really well. What you will find is that once you've got the roadbook holder on there, you might have to figure out where to put your phone if you're using your phone as a trip meter. So on this example, this chap has put the phone on a mount on his handlebars, and they work really well together. I've also just noticed that the mini fairing in this example is an adaptation of the 450L fairing. The Honda, so we have a specific Honda 450L fairing which mounts in a slightly different way. It doesn't mount to your handlebars, and I think this customer may have got an early version of that and adapted it. Okay, a Montesa 4Ride. Love this bike. I would love to have one in my garage. This guy has, it looks like he's doing some long distance trials, and he's kitted it out for, well, I mean, the 4Ride's, I mean, it is an adventure bike. I would love to go on a big long adventure on it, but I suspect you're not really going to be getting up to speeds that you need a huge amount of weather protection from the front. But he has used it to mount his roadbook on, which is a great way to get that onto something like the Montesa 4Ride. I don't know that you'd get any other off-the-shelf product that would help you get a roadbook onto your Montesa 4Ride. Looks a little top-heavy on that small bike, but needs must if you're doing long distance trials on it. And yeah, it looks like a really neat solution. Okay, I can't tell what bike this is. I think we've only got some photos of the actual mount, but this shows how the Garmin Montana 600 series has been mounted in a vertical position as opposed to horizontal. He's also got, it looks like a key, like an ignition barrel mounted on there, and a USB device. I like the way he's mounted the Montana unit. I also choose it vertically. Quite often people put it horizontally. My theory being that you want to know what's coming ahead as opposed to either side of you. So this is the Honda Crf250L. Again, as I mentioned earlier, there's a very specific product for this bike. It's not the universal mini fairing, it's the Honda Crf250L specific version. And that mounts onto the triple clamp as opposed to the handlebars. So this is a KTM EXE, it looks like. The orange is colour matched as close as we can to the KTM orange. There's nothing on this yet. I think this customer's just mounted it straight onto the bars, so waiting his electronics, etc. It sits quite high on this bike, and I have seen some people have drilled new holes that allows them to drop the whole screen a little bit to close that gap at the bottom. On my bike, on my EXE, it sits quite high as well, but I haven't really I mean, air does get under it, but it doesn't make a huge difference. Okay, so this looks like a Honda Crf250L, I think, with a big tank, maybe? I'm not sure. Anyway, it's red, so I'm going to say it's a Honda. And this customer, this guy has got it looks like he's got his phone case mounted on his handlebars, and then he's used the universal mini fairing to mount a GPS holder, a sat-nav holder. So yeah, along with a USB device. Okay, we've got a Yamaha Ttr. You can see that the blue of the screen is pretty well colour matched to the Yamaha blue. It's a pretty nice looking bike, that. It's a good setup. Can't really see much about what he's got on it, but it looks pretty smart. Okay, so this is an interesting one. This is, I think, a KTM 690. I'm going to say it's in America or Canada somewhere. And the interesting thing with this one is how guys adapted it. So as you can see, he's closed that gap at the front there. And so he's pitched it forwards and bent slightly the top of the mount so that the screen overlaps his headlight mask. And interestingly here, it looks like he's repositioned his computer speedo from his bike onto the universal mini fairing itself. I'm guessing because it would have covered it if he'd not done that. So again, as long as you've got enough cable on your speedo, it shouldn't be too complicated to take that off and put it up on the mini fairing. Okay, so that's the Adventure Spec Universal Mini Fairing. It's a pretty simple device, there's not a lot to it, so I can't really talk much more about it. I think what I would say is that it's very much in line with our light is right philosophy, so creating hard parts to adventurize your bike that are what you need and not what you don't need really. If you've got any pictures of the mini fairing on your bike, please do send them through. Just follow the link at the bottom of that page on our website. I'd love to see them. And we'll add them to that so more people can get an idea of the versatility and how it's used on other people's bikes. And if you've got any questions, stick them in the comments. Do my best to answer them. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for your time. See you soon.